Was Ragnar Lothbrok a real Viking king or just a story told around roaring fires? For centuries, his name has echoed across lands and legends alike. But how much of Ragnar's saga is grounded in truth? Did he really lead fearless raids across England and France? Or are we chasing a ghost woven from ancient songs? And if he did exist, who was the real Ragnar beneath the layers of myth? Today, we set sail into the stormy waters of history and legend to uncover the man behind the myth. Ragnar's story is stitched together from medieval chronicles, Norse sagas, and the rich imagination of generations who needed heroes bigger than life itself. His legend has survived wars, plagues, and time itself, but separating fact from fiction is no easy voyage. Get ready, because the truth about Ragnar Lothbrok might just be more extraordinary than the legend. Historians searching for the real Ragnar Lothbrok find themselves in a maze of half-truths and legends. The earliest glimpses of him appear scattered through fragmented chronicles like shadows flickering against stone walls. The Anglo-Saxon Chronicle briefly mentions brutal Viking raids around the 9th century, with leaders whose descriptions could match Ragnar. Meanwhile, Norse sagas, like the tale of Ragnar's sons, paint him as a fearsome king and warrior. But these sagas were written centuries after the events they describe, blurring the lines between fact and legend. Some scholars believe Ragnar was not a single man, but an amalgamation of several real Viking leaders like Ragnar, who besieged Paris in 845, and King Horik of Denmark. Others argue Ragnar was indeed real, but that his deeds were wildly exaggerated over time. Still, across the sagas, a few consistent threads emerge: a daring raider, a legendary warrior, and a father to equally fearsome sons like Bjorn Ironside and Ivar the Boneless. If Ragnar truly lived, he carved his name into history with blood and fire yet. He left behind no artifacts, no letters, no undeniable proof. So, was Ragnar real? Or was he a legendary mask worn by many heroes? One thing is certain: history alone couldn't contain a man like Ragnar Lothbrok. But if history sparked his fire, legend made it burn eternal. If the real Ragnar left behind a whisper, the legends turned it into a roar. In the sagas, Ragnar Lothbrok isn't just a Viking, he's a dragon slayer, a giant killer, a man who defied kings and gods alike. One tale tells of Ragnar battling a monstrous serpent to win the hand of Lothbrok, a warrior maiden as fierce as any man. Another describes how he stormed the mighty city of Paris with cunning, using ships, siege tactics, and fearless willpower. And in perhaps the most chilling story, Ragnar meets his end in a pit of venomous snakes, defiant even as the poison steals his breath. But legends like these aren't about accuracy, they're about meaning. Ragnar's saga was passed down not to inform, but to inspire. In him, people saw the traits they longed for: courage against impossible odds, cleverness in battle, and the spirit to challenge fate itself. Ragnar wasn't just a man. He was the Viking ideal given flesh and steel. Heroes like Ragnar live on because their stories offer more than entertainment. They offer hope that strength, wit, and daring can carve a path through even the darkest times. And in a world where survival was a daily battle, Ragnar's myth burned bright, a beacon calling warriors to dream bigger than their fears. Could a real man ever live up to such a legend? Maybe the myth was the man's greatest victory. 1,000 years later, Ragnar Lothbrok still refuses to fade into the mist. His story lives on in best-selling novels, blockbuster television shows, tattoos inked across skin, and in the imaginations of anyone who dreams of freedom. But why? Why does a half-mythical Viking still capture our hearts today? Ragnar represents the eternal hunger for more, the urge to push boundaries, to defy kings and gods, to become something greater than the world expects. In an age where conformity often wins, Ragnar's rebellion feels like a breath of cold, wild air straight off the North Sea. Through shows like Vikings, he's been reimagined as the ultimate anti-hero: flawed, questioning, relentless. Ragnar isn't a symbol of perfection. He's a mirror reflecting our struggle to find meaning, even in chaos. That's why he matters. His legend reminds us that history isn't just a list of dates, and battle sits a tapestry of human ambition, imagination, and courage. Whether Ragnar was one man or many, fact or fiction, he teaches us something real. The best stories don't just tell us what happened, they show us who we could be. And as long as there are dreamers, rebels, and wanderers, Ragnar Lothbrok's fire will never go out. Ragnar Lothbrok stands where myth and history call a warrior, too bold to be contained by fact alone. Maybe he was a king who sailed into battle. Or maybe he was a story whispered to give hope to those who needed heroes. Either way, Ragnar became something far greater than any single life. A legend that still stirs the spirit 1,000 years later. If you enjoyed uncovering the real Ragnar and the myth that made him immortal, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more epic deep dives, and join us for the next incredible story.